Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. We have a couple of board members who, because of the date change, are not able to be here tonight. They have either work or a previous commitment, but we are expecting Tracy still, but since we have a quorum, I believe we'll get started. And the first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody here who wants to speak during public comment? Okay, hearing nothing, we'll start with presentations. I just want to preface everything by saying that our goal tonight is to see if we can work through the ed specs and make a decision.
I think we're 99% already with the spec. I think we're right there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, and good afternoon and welcome, good evening and welcome to all of you. So tonight our agenda is a very interesting agenda. We have two action items, the ed spec, and we also have the lease, but the first part of this meeting tonight is a very important part of the agenda, is one that referred to the initiative that are taking place at the high school in moving our high school to college and career readiness. Before we start, I want to thank the entire team that participated in developing this presentation here tonight, Dr. Sanchez, Anna Sanchez, Mrs. Pam Cavanaugh, Dr. Mudambi, Mr. Neil Weathers, Mr. Randall Conway, and Dr. Tracy Youngberg. So this is going to be a very interactive presentation. We're going to go back and forth, if you don't mind. So I'm going to start, and I think I am followed by Neil right away, right? Good. So the presentation tonight has several objectives. And the first objective is to discuss with you and share with the board. The first objective of the presentation is to There are four programs that we want to discuss with you tonight: AP, ECE, ECO, and the career pathways. And we want to talk about the career pathways and how does that fit in the high school renovation. The three initial programs, AP, ECO, and ECE, we want to share with you the challenges that we're facing with those programs, the progress that we're making with those programs, an overview of those programs, and also the implementation here at the high school over several years. So we have three objectives for tonight. So I think one of the things that we really are very proud of is the opportunity that we offer here at the high school for our students to obtain college credit. College credit can be obtained in several ways here at the high school. And the three main ways that students can obtain college credit is through, number one, our ECE course. And ECE stands strictly for the dual enrollment with UConn, with the University of Connecticut. Very popular program here in our school. The other way that students can obtain college credit is through AP, the Advanced Placement course. And the other opportunity is through our courses with the ECO courses with the Cunivac Community College. So we have three main ways, three opportunities where students can obtain college courses. We also have a very small program with Eastern where students obtain college courses. Now, what I want to share with you, Neil, could you come, is the offering over the years of dual enrollment college courses that we've been offering since 2014 through 2019. And you will see how the opportunity to obtain college courses in the last 4 years have increased since 2014.
It's really hard to hear you.
Hard to hear.
How about now? Yeah,
That's better.
I just have a really loud voice. The mic has no effect. Okay, so college credit offerings over time. So we went as far back to 2013-14 for the high school, and back then they had 18 courses offered through the different types, meaning either AP, UConn ECE, or courses offered more recently through QVCC through the ECHO program. So it went from 18 and then dipped a little and has climbed. And as of this year, we're offering 22 total courses to offer college credit opportunities, as we say. And you can see that we have more now than we've had over the past 6 years with 26 course sections. And just to let everybody know, we put a couple other numbers in the chart. The number of enrollment is a seat enrollment because we have some students that take multiple classes. So this isn't just by students. Some of them might be 3 or 4 classes in a given year. And then the average enrollment per course section, which fluctuates obviously because sometimes we'll open a course or a course section that'll have a varying amount depending on the student interest. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so what we did in this slide is just break up the course offerings by the type, which is important because you can see some changes later on when we talk specifically advanced placement or UConn ECE. You'll see some different changes. When you see it in this overall picture, you can see that the number of advanced placement courses actually has decreased, but that the number of UConn ECE courses has increased. And obviously in the last couple of years with the program ECHO, the number of QVCC courses has increased.
I think we want to, one important point to consider is that students only earn college credit with AP if they obtain a 3 or above in the test and the exam, and this depends on the college. But because they take the course itself, they don't obtain that college degree. The AP program is a very rigorous program, extremely rigorous program, and is aligned to state standards or national standards and provides students the opportunity to be prepared for college or for career. And it's offering a variety and a wide range of subject areas from liberal arts to science to math, etc.
Oh, sure.
So we have increased the number, we also have increased the number of AP courses that we offer over the years.
So currently in 2018-19, specifically for advanced placement, we offer psychology and American government. We also offer AP statistics and AP calculus, chemistry, AP drawing, and then in foreign language, we offer Spanish language and Spanish literature. And the examinations are offered in May. And like Dr. Garcia said, how advanced placement credit is determined is solely on the exam grade that is taken in approximately May, right? During this time of the coming up in this time of the year, and a 3 or better is required to earn credit. But depending on the college, in some cases it could be 4 or 5. So our upcoming year offered at WHS, we are offering AP English Language and Composition, Literature and Composition, Psych and U.S. History, Stats, Environmental Science, Biology, Chemistry, and AP Physics, and then these other courses there. Okay, then AP offered over time. You can see this is kind of a specific breakdown of what we showed earlier. And you can see this year the number of enrollments in AP courses is lower than it has been. But when Mr. Conway speaks later on, you will see that it increases in UConn ECE.
So we don't want you to be nervous. You will see that the number of college courses has increased. And we will give you a rationale why the ECE courses is a better return in academic investment for a school district. The number of AP courses have decreased. Keep in mind, again, I said there's some requirements. You have to obtain a 3 or better, sometime a 4, in order to get college credit. The guidelines for the ECE are different, and it has proven to us over the years that it's a better return on investment to offer ECE courses that are the college courses through UConn.
Tracy?
Dr. Garcia, can you tell me why this year the English classes are not offered in AP and next year they are? According to your chart here, in 2018-19, there's no English listed. I know they're also ECE, but next year it's listed as an AP English, Lang and Comp and Lit.
I don't know why the school would not, I don't know why they did not put it on their schedule.
I can look into it for you.
Okay.
Could be that they didn't have students that wanted to take it. Could be a bunch of different reasons.
I think it's what you were just talking about, that most of the students want to take it as ECE.
ECE.
Right, this year it's ECE, but next year it's listed as AP.
I think it's going to be ECE.
ECE.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just looking at the slides, that's all.
Could be a mistake. Next
let
time
me
ECE.
look in.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think also it's important for the board to know the demographic of.
Dr. Garcia, somebody needs to talk into them. You need to talk
I
into
think
the
it's
mic.
also important for the board to have an idea, overview of the demographic of the AP courses, who is taking the AP courses, and what are the results that we're obtaining on the AP courses. So let's go to the demographics.
Yeah. So this is the AP exam passing rates since 2013-14 to last year. Obviously, we don't have exam rates yet for this year. So the number of seat enrollments in AP courses at the high school is the top column, and it fluctuates over the years. The second row speaks to the number of exams. You'll notice the greatest number of exams was in 2013-14, and something I learned when I came to Windham about 4 years ago is that year they had something, Project Open Door, and what it did is help increase the participation rate. So that's the number of exams that were taken, and then the number of students that took at least one of the exams is below. So one thing that is striking is the number of students that are taking exams and the number of exams taken versus the number of seat enrollments, the percentage there, and then the number of students with, and that's a student could have multiple 3+, by the way, but the way the College Board AP report comes out, this is the number of students with the score of 3 or better, and then a percent of students with a score of 3+ out of total exams taken. So that isn't the total students that took courses at WHS. That percentage is the total exams that were taken in that given year. Okay, so, and I'm sorry if this table is a little small for people in the back section. The demographic analysis of AP, there were 92 students, different students enrolled in advanced placement courses this year at the high school. 37 are male, 55 are female, so it's a split of 40-60. 66% of the students are Hispanic, Latino, and minority population, 74%. Just so you know, that is very close to actually the minority population in the high school, and 26% of the students are white and that take the AP courses this year. 21% of them are English learners, 10% are special education students, and 64% are free reduced lunch eligible, and 64% are considered high needs, which is either an English learner, special education student, or free reduced lunch eligible, one of those 3 categories.
So we share with you one way that students can obtain college credit here at Windham High School through the AP program. I don't know, Madam Chair, if you want to have questions now, or you want to wait till we finish all 3 areas.
I think if anybody has any questions about what we just heard, you should ask them now. I mean, obviously you can ask later too, but if there's any question you'd like to raise now?
So we'll give you a comparison of both AP and ECE as soon as we finish the ECE portion, but we wonder if you have any question at this time.
Okay, it looks like we'll
Yeah.
keep moving along.
Hearing none, we go to the ECE. So the other way that students can obtain college credit here at Windham High School is through ECE. The ECE is unique only to the University of Connecticut, and these are college courses that is done in partnership with the University of Connecticut. So that's our partner. Or also Eastern Connecticut College and QVCC. We offer these courses in a variety of subjects, from microeconomics to calculus to English to biology. The curriculum is not driven by the high school faculty. The curriculum is driven exclusively by the college. It's written by the college. The assessment are written by the college, driven by the college, not by the high school. One of the challenges is that the staff of the high school that teaches those courses need to be certified by the university, need to meet the university requirement. So that make us also the challenge is finding the right people, hiring the right people with the degree in order to be certified by the college. But as I said before, this program is very, very beneficial to students because we have 80% of college credit are transferred to the university when they obtain an EC, when they take an EC course. Dr. Murphy, I think you have a question?
So what exactly does an 87% transfer rate mean? I mean, UConn accepts the credits, correct?
Yes.
So that's all,
To other colleges.
okay,
It's done through nationwide.
yes, okay.
So we're going to have Mr. Conway, the Director of Guidance, that is also one of
As you can see, our partners with the ECE program is University of Connecticut, Eastern Connecticut State University, as well as Quinnipiac Valley Community College, but that's for ECHO only. For 2018-2019, we offered 7 ECE classes, such as English, Language, and Composition, which is 4 UConn credits for 1 semester. We also offered Environmental Science and Biotechnology and U.S. History. However, for the 2019-2020 year, we offered those same classes plus 3 additional classes. This is Principle of Microeconomics, Calculus 1 and Calculus 2. It's for a total of 8 credits, so that's a total of 14 ECE classes that we are offering. Yes, we have increased the number of our ECE offerings that we are offering, and also the credits that can be obtained for general admissions to college has also been increased. Now, these are some of the possible courses to give you an idea of how our students can obtain the ECE credits from their freshman year to their graduation. If you can look at it closely, you'll see that you can obtain up to 25 college credits when you graduate from Windham High School.
So one of the things that we're looking at is that we have a goal of how can a student obtain 30 credit hours college credit when they graduate from Windham High School. That's our goal. That's our target. We know that paying for college is like paying for a mortgage, and if students can leave here with 1 year of college under their belt, it would be much, much more inexpensive. Mr. Conway and Dr. Mudambi work on this project that I gave them, what it would look like. So this is just a tentative schedule. Possible, right around that's possible. It's possibility. So what would it look like? What should the students do in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11, and 12 to obtain those college courses? Now, there are many other courses that are offered by UConn in those buckets, the buckets of humanity, the bucket of health and sciences. We'll just give you an example of what that will look like. So it will start at 10th grade, what the students need to take in 10th grade. They need to have at least 3 credits, then 14 credits and 8 credits. Now, 11th grade is where they have the majority of the credits. I have some question about 11th grade because that's where they have the SAT and other subject, other assessment, but that's something that we can work out. But this is what it could look like, tentatively. Dr. Murphy, I know that this is your baby. That's something that you're very interested.
I'm keen on not only getting the credits, but also making sure that they're generally transferable credits. And, so I certainly appreciate things like macroeconomics and calculus being emphasized here because those will go anywhere.
Right. And the courses that we offer are courses that are, again, putting this in front, these are approved by UConn, or they're approved by Quinnipiac Community College. So when we offer the course, you have to be approved by them. The faculty is approved by them. So we know that the credit is secure for the students as they move to other universities in Connecticut or outside of Connecticut.
Yeah, if
We're
they're,
going to say something more. Go ahead.
if they're UConn credits, they're transferable.
Yes.
As long as they're courses that are transferable. So things like English composition, microeconomics, calculus, statistics, all of those can transfer to virtually any public university anywhere in the country without any kind of a problem. And in today's world where, UConn is over $30,000 a year now for in-state students. So being able to transfer a year or 2 will save families a great deal of money. So it is important that we pursue this.
So I do want to emphasize also that the goal is that the students can obtain his first year of general studies through the high school program, and when he goes to UConn, he will be a sophomore by finishing the first year. So that's the goal. So we're not interested in if you want to have 30 elective courses. We are interested in getting your first year of the freshman here in Windham High School, and then you could transfer to UConn and you could be a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Garcia, I think you can up it if you make junior English an ECE course. Or senior English.
Just, this is like one possibility.
Okay.
We had others. Actually, one of the things, the debate and everybody working on the possibilities was we didn't want to max it. There's 42 possible UConn ECE credits, but we didn't want to make that look like that's the possibility that every single student is going to do. But yes, that is obviously a distinct possibility.
So this is just a sample?
Just a sample.
Okay.
Because we will not offer all the courses that you can offer in the first year. We cannot. We will not have the faculty to offer them. So this is just a sample of what we can offer based on the faculty that we have.
Tracy, do you have more questions or comments?
Will you be having optional ECE courses in language other than Spanish?
At this time, we do not have it on the schedule right now, at this time. Could be a possibility in the future as we expand, but at this time, we do not have it on the schedule. Yeah. I just want to make sure that this is a work in progress. I mean, we'll continue, it's a continuous improvement process as we move along, make adjustment. If you can have new courses, then we will add new courses. If students' enrollment increase in French, for example, it's a possibility of offering a French 3, French 4. So this is all done based on the needs of the students at that particular time.
Mary?
Yeah, I'm a little troubled by this particular slide, saying shift from course offerings based on teacher interests to offerings based,
Okay, so
I
let me
think
explain
it-
that.
yeah,
No, let me
that's a-
explain that. So before, there were no sequence or scope or rhyme or reason why we're offering an ECE course. If the teacher had the certification, then we offer it. What we're doing now is we're using those same teachers, so we offer those courses. But now we have a scope and sequence. This is what can be taken in 10th grade, 11, and 12. So it's a scope and sequence based on the students obtaining those 24 credits. So maybe that is should rephrase it differently, but the shift is not the teacher will say, okay, I want to teach this course this year, versus, okay, what are the courses that we're going to offer in 11, 10, and 9? So the teachers know when they will be teaching those courses because we know when we're teaching.
yeah, also, it's important to note that the students have to have a certain grade to get the
Yes.
credit.
Yes.
It's not, so it's similar to the AP, and that sometimes in pre-professional programs or pre-med, they're not going to take a class unless it's a lab science done at the university. I just think people need to know that, but it certainly shows a lot of, initiative on the part of the student, but not everything is transferable to every kind of program.
Totally correct. And so that's why we want to stay away from courses that are part of the program and stay with courses that are part of the general study. For example, if somebody was taking a biology class and it was not a biology with lab, then you would say, well, we're not taking that credit. And so what we're doing, again, to obtain more return on academic investment, we're looking at what are the courses that UConn will transfer to UConn or anywhere in the country. So a biology class with the lab or a chemistry with the lab will put us in a difficult situation. But an English 101 is different. Social science 101, that's different. So it makes much better sense to give students the opportunity to finish their general course studies here, the 25 credits. And by the way, at UConn it's 24, it's 12 semester. We check it today per semester. It's 12 per semester, first year. All right, now we check it today. 12, it's 12, right?
12 to
So if we can
15.
It's
obtain the
actually
12 per
15
semester.
for most students.
Excuse me?
A four-year degree is 120 credits, so it's 15 for most students. 12 is a full-time student, but you have to take more than 8 semesters if you go 12
So,
at a time.
so we possibility that our strong students could take 15, obtain 5 more credits here, but we did it those on the 24 credit to start. So I think this is, as a mother of the son that is graduating May 18 from Buffalo, I would really appreciate that. He wanted to stay in college for 4 years, but I would really appreciate that my son could have had 3 years in college versus 4 years in college. Believe me, I that's like paying a mortgage. That's like paying a mortgage. Okay. But I think Dr. Galucci is correct. We're going to talk about the changes to EC in a second. That will make it a little more challenging for our students, the grade and the transcript to EC. Dr.
So is our staff limitation a budget issue?
Is
If
it-
you had the funding, could you get more teachers to make this program larger?
Well, I will not say that funding is an issue. The most important issue, or the number one issue, is getting people with the specialized degree in order to teach. So people have to have master's degrees, have to have a doctorate degree, and so you have to have this particular degree in order to be able to teach the course. That's why it's more important for us to obtain the courses in the general study when we go into courses that are specialized in accounting, for example, specialized accounting course. Then you may have to have a person with a particular degree, a master's degree, a CPA. So those requirements are very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It had taken us years to get somebody certified to teach calculus with UConn. I think this would be the first year that we want to teach calculus. So it's taken us 3 years to get someone certified to teach calculus. So how that look as we plan that strategically, HR is involved in this. So we work with HR to say, okay, these are the teachers that we need with certification, and one of the jobs that HR has to do is to look for those people. So it's a whole process, not only the high school making the schedule, what courses they're going to teach, but it also involves looking at other aspects of the school. For example, Tracy is involved, Dr. Yumberg, in what those curriculum would look like. HR is involved in recruiting the personnel that will be able to teach those courses.
I guess my concern is that if our costs keep going up 3% a year, and the most we're getting out of the town is less than 3% of the year, can we sustain this program economically? So ultimately, in order to sustain this program, we're going to have to be able to pass budgets that will support it.
Well, definitely there is a cost to this. There is a cost to this. And when you hire a teacher that have higher degree, there is a cost salary base for these teachers. And there is a cost in recruiting these teachers, so definitely. But this is part of our strategic plan. This has been a goal of the Board of Education. It has been a goal of the superintendent. I think we have made tremendous progress. We're much, much closer than 4 years ago. Like I said, now we're able to teach calculus, but that have taken us a lot of time. So I needless want to go over this slide, but as you saw before, the number of AP courses have decreased, but the number of EC, the college courses, have increased over the years.
So as Dr. Garcia said, the number of ECU courses has increased. So, oh, good. Okay, I'll sing for you in a minute. All right, so the number of courses has increased, and the number of enrollments in specifically UConn ECE has dramatically increased since 2013-14, and also it's increased in the average enrollment per course section. The demographics are comparable. The 97 students enrolled in UConn ECE are very comparable to what we saw in the demographics for the AP courses. And then just speaking about this, and when we get to challenges and changes, this will be an important part. So this grade, go back to Christine. This grade structure is the grade distribution through UConn ECE over the last couple years, 17-18 and 16-17. Obviously, an A is 90 to 99. You can see the percentages there, 80 to 89. And then the way it currently in the years past, a C was 74 to 79. And then if a student in Windham High School earned less than a 74, they were given an audit grade. So they got a grade here at Windham High School, and they didn't get credit at UConn, but they passed the class. And then there's a percentage that N, what that stands for is there wasn't enough information to give a grade through UConn, or maybe the student left or something like that, but I wanted to include all the information that was provided in the report. Do you want me to? Okay, so this is just some overall from the past 20 slides that we've learned so far. In 2017-18, only 18% of possible AP exams were taken by students, and this is different way back in 14-15. I didn't even use the Project Open Doors because I think that got an inflation, right? So it was compared to 42% in 14-15, so it's been pretty low the last couple years and lower than it was in the past. And since 15-16, fewer than 15% of all Windham High School students enrolled in an AP course took an exam and scored a 3 or better out of the total enrollments. In the past 2 years, Windham High School has had the highest number of seat enrollments in courses that offer college credit opportunities, with 379 last year and 383 this year. So that is good news.
I'm sorry, Neil, the highest number of what? Like,
oh, I'm sorry, highest number of seat enrollments, which means actual people in classes. So some of so 379, 383. I can go back into the chart. The seat enrollments is one of the earlier slides.
Right.
I think it was in the past. There might have been some low 300s, but it was in the, if I remember correctly, like in the 200s.
so compared to previous years.
This is the highest it's been. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologize for that. Then in 16-17 and 17-18, we have 81% of our students in the last couple of years have earned course grades that earn college credit, and I'm sorry that the last part of that earns college credit in UConn ECE classes. So that's important. Obviously for very important reason. So 81% of students earned course credits in UConn ECE classes compared to up above when you see the fewer than 15% in the last 2 years. And then there's an increase from 7 to 9 courses. The current 7 courses in UConn EC offers a possibility of 31 total credits. You saw one possibility that could earn a student 25. And then we now have 42 possible credits next year based on the course offerings. And then I'm going to let Dr. Garcia take the conclusion.
A little conclusion for you.
Right,
A
did you have a
conclusion.
question,
We have.
Mary?
No, I just heard this background music,
Oh.
sound.
So we do have a little conclusion
Yeah, I
based
heard
on
it
what
too.
you saw, the data that we gave you. We can conclude that our return, due to the structure, due to the courses that we offer, and that the EC courses, the dual enrollment courses, offer a higher return in our investment, and also offer higher return to students that are obtaining better grades compared to the AP courses. Earning higher grade that then translate to college credit. I think we have 81% versus AP, only 15% over the last 2 years. So 81% of students taking these courses earn college credit courses compared to AP, where only 15% of them. So again, higher return on academic investment. So if we want to go in this direction of offering college courses, I think we have a school in the neighboring school district, E.O. Smith, that has gone strictly in the direction of ECE and offer only ECE courses, and have decreased their AP courses over the years. Neil, anything else you want to say in that area?
Actually, go back one, just to point out, in the conclusions, it talks about course structure. One thing about ECE.
Neil, you need to talk in a mic.
Use a mic.
One thing we did not highlight in the previous mention, the course structure, is that the UConn ECE classes, students meet the participation requirements by simply being in the class, where the part of the AP courses, they have to take the exam. So that's a big distinction between the two courses getting the chance to earn credit. Just throwing that out there.
There are some major changes to the AP ECE. Years before, we used to offer them in conjunctions. The students could enroll in a course that will, AP ECE course. So now there are some changes, and Mr. Conway, please jump in at any time here because this is your area. But concurrent AP and EC courses are no longer allowed through UConn. That's a change for the 1920. And this is by UConn. So no more AP ECE concurrent classes. That's one change. Audit grades in UConn EC are no longer allowed, meaning whatever grade you get, that would be the grade on your transcript. Is that correct? That would be the grade on your transcript. And again, they will be reflected on your UConn transcript. If you ask for a UConn transcript, it will be there. And one of the big changes, and it's a challenge for us, is the certified teachers through UConn. That's a very big challenge. So when we continue to work, but anytime we offer EC course, whatever subject it is, they have to be certified through UConn. Any other changes or challenges that I miss? You want to mention?
When you get a grade of a C or above, that's where you get the 87% transferable rate to the nations, to colleges and universities across the nation. Anything less than that, they have also put a policy in where you have to withdraw from that class if you get a C minus or below. So anything a C or above is transferable.
So we gave you a little brief overview of the ECE and the AP and an analysis of both. Is there any question?
Dr. Garcia, you said it was hard to get teachers certified because they have to have a master's. Don't they have to have a master's to teach in a public high school?
They have to have a specialized content.
Get
master's,
masters,
not
right.
Masters of education,
Education.
but masters in that particular
Content area.
So
So again-
subject matter.
Yeah.
Correct.
Masters,
So, you're
okay.
right, though, they have to have a master's
Masters
in
of
education to keep their certification, but not content specific.
So an English teacher couldn't teach a history course.
Correct.
If they had a master's in English. Okay,
Perfect
thank you for
perfect
clarifying.
example.
I'm like,
Somebody-
you have to have a master's, wait, did we lower that?
Let me give you a perfect example. Somebody with a master in mathematics education can be a teacher here at the high school, math education. But somebody with a math education, master in math education, not necessarily will be certified to teach math for UConn.
Okay.
So they will have to have a master in mathematics. That's different than a master in math education.
Are there any other questions?
I have one. So This is a very good direction, but what percentage of our high school students are actually earning college credit? I mean, of all of our high school students, what fraction of them actually earns college credits?
Have it there. Neil is there somewhere. You did it.
Yeah, we have that.
It's there.
Well, so last year, about 81% that took the ECE, I'd have to break through to give you the exact.
Well, that's the students that have taken the
Use the
ECE
mic.
courses, but you got 97 students that have taken ECE courses, but there's 600 students or so in the high school, so.
There were about, of the 81%, there was about 200,
200
there
and
was,
something.
last year there was not, this year there's 97 students in ECE courses, and there's 92 students in AP. So roughly, if the projections hold and the pass rates stay the same, then about 80%, about 80, roughly close to 80 students will get credit in the UConn courses, and about 15 students will get AP credit.
Out of how many students? So you're talking juniors and seniors out of 300 students total?
I'd want to break it down before I give you an answer like that, but yeah, roughly, yes.
And when you say 80 students, so you got 97, those are
97
97 unique students taking ECE
Yes.
courses?
You have 97 unique students taking UConn ECE and 92 unique students taking AP class this year.
Okay.
But where the fun begins is some of those students may be taking an ECE and an AP course.
Yeah, I understand that. I know one of our challenges is to get a larger fraction of our students to
Yes.
the place where they can actually take these courses and succeed in them.
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, correct.
So I want to make sure that as much as this is a wonderful program, especially for families that are trying to afford college, that we still have a lot of work to do to get more families in a position to be able to take advantage of this opportunity.
Are there any other questions? Tracy?
Dr. Garcia or Mr. Conway, is it Dr. Conway? Okay, Mr. Conway, sorry. You said our ECE partners are UConn and Eastern. Do we have different ECE courses that are just Eastern? Or, I don't understand how that works.
Small numbers.
But it's a very small number. Yes, we do. We also have QVC as well as that has ECE credit. For
So
us.
in the program of studies, is it designated which is a UConn ECE and which is an Eastern ECE? I know the QVCC ones are just for ECHO students, so those wouldn't affect the general population. I'm assuming the ECHO program being its own program, the students are being directed towards those as well. How would a student know if it's a UConn ECE or an Eastern ECE?
It's in the course of study.
That
course
would
of
be in the
study.
program of studies.
Program of study.
But
So please jump in, Ms.
Jump in,
Kavanaugh, if
Tom.
I'm saying something. Go ahead.
It looks like she's been wanting to say something. Come on up
Please
and
use the mic
sit.
as well.
Take a mic, please. Thanks.
Just about what Dr. Sewell said about increasing our number of students that are taking ECE classes. If you notice, the discrete mathematics, the new class that we can offer next year, is a class that's a kind of a prerequisite to the upper level classes. And the same, we're also investigating an English class that's a prerequisite to the two courses that we already offer, so that more students would get the background knowledge they needed and the skills they needed to be successful in the other classes. But they do get UConn elective credit for those, and they're more like an introductory math class and an introductory English class. So we are trying to, provide more offerings at the college level, but in a preparatory kind of way for the more advanced classes.
However, if you take a look at what we're planning to do, and you take a look at the graduation requirements that are coming out for 2023, this will require that we look at what we offer in 8th grade. So next year, we'll have to go back and look at this again and say, okay, what are we offering in 8th grade to give students the opportunity in 9th and 10th grade to take more courses? I am thinking right now that based on the graduation requirements that are coming out, that we may have to offer some, at least the possibility of 2 courses in 8th grade that students can obtain high school credit. So when they come here, they have those credits for high school out of their packet. Done. Okay.
One more question, Tracy?
I have
It's okay.
a parent who's watching from home, and they went to the Windham High School open house, and they said that only the only students whose parents have never gone to college are eligible for the Eastern
I don't know that.
ECE classes?
I
That's
don't-
what they were told? I don't know either. They asked me to ask the question, so I'm happy to do it. Or is there a program where parents who didn't go to college, children have the opportunity to get into a different course, or is there any specialty like that?
Higher edge, maybe?
Higher Edge. It's all right, so that's different. So that's different.
Okay,
That's an organization that helps students
right, I know a higher
apply
edge
for
is,
college, right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? Okay,
So now we want to move on to the ECHO program, a program that has been, I'm going to ask Dr. Sanchez to come for a second. A program that has been a success for us here at Windham Public School, and it's a success for our community. This program started 2015, and when this program started in 2015, we were passionate about this program. We're still passionate about this program. We started this program and didn't have someone to really move this program along. We're happy to have Dr. Sanchez that coordinate this program and is committed tremendously to this program. I am very, very pleased to see the progress that we have made over the years with this program, and also the adjustment that we have made based on student feedback, based on conversation with industry, based on conversation with the community college. So this program started in 2015 in partnership with Electric Boat. That is our strongest partner, but we do have some other partners like EMA and IWI. And we started at that particular time that it was open to all students. Over the year, we have to put some parameters in place, but that's part of the continuous cycle of improvement. We look at what we're doing, we analyze, we look at the data, and we make adjustment. Again, another way that students can obtain college credit, but they obtain college credit through QBCC in this program, strictly to QBCC. They can obtain their college credit. Upon finishing the program, at no cost to the students, by the way, they can obtain their certificate. And one of the changes that we made, adjustment that we made, we look at how they're obtaining their associate degree, and they can enter the world of industry. I believe, if I'm not wrong, one or two of the students, Pam, tell me, is one or two of the students in this program that are graduating already was offered a job and obtained a job, one of them? Yeah. So students went to internship with Electric Boat this summer, and I want to let you know that they were on time to work every single day, from Windham to Groton, New London, and according to the director of the program in Electric Boat, the students were responsible. Every day they were on time to work. They didn't miss. They joined the union, they did the work, and they earned a lot of money, by the way. And so when they came back from the internship, they came back with a different perspective about this program, and different ideas of how we should run the program. But Electric Boat is our partner. Quinnipiac Community College is our partner. The Eastern Advanced Manufacturing Alliance is our partner, and the Eastern Connecticut Workforce Investment is our partner. Again, a program that offers kids the opportunity to college and career. And this is a program about equity. This is really a program about access, opportunity, and outcome. All the students in this program are first-generation college students, every single one of them. So when we talk about equity, it's access, opportunity, and also outcome for this program. You can tell I'm very passionate about this program. So Anna, why you don't take over the number of students we have in the program, and you can say why we decreased the number of students over a year.
In total, we have 72 students right now. We have 21 students in 9th grade, 14 students in 10th grade, 22 in 11th grade, and 15 students in 12th grade. In the past, and that's one of the changes that we have made with the time, in the past the program used to receive over 50 students per school year, and we realized that that number was way too big for the program for many reasons. First, there is a cap for the QBCC classes, especially those classes who are taught at QBCC in the Advanced Manufacturing Center. The cap is 25 students. And also, with 25 students, that's like a more reasonable number to monitor the students, to monitor the progress, to provide the students with the support they need to succeed in the college classes.
And also, one other thing is cost here will be an indicator, because some of the courses are very specialized, then it will require us to hire more faculty. So to do that, we put the cap and the number of students that will be accepted per year. So that's one of the adjustments we made over the years. The demographics.
As Dr. Garcia just said, like 96% of our students are eligible for free or reduced lunch. Almost 90% of our students are Hispanics. 3% are Black or African Americans, and 88% are white students. We have a lot of students from Mexico, for example, and I believe once we get the students into the program, they start talking about the program and they bring more students. So that's why we have a lot of students from Mexico, mainly.
One of the key aspect of this program, if you take a look at the data, is the number of female in this program. Over the years, the number of female students has increased in this program. And the students that we had in this program, year 1 and year 2, have come back and speak to their other students, other female students. So as you can see, in ninth grade, we have the largest amount of female students in this program. I believe 77% of the students, 77% of the students in this program are female. And so more power to the ladies that now are entering in that world. And so we are happy to see that this is an area that was strictly for men. And so now we have girls in the ninth grade will be the highest number of students, female.
Changing. Actually,
changing.
well, last year we had two female students taking the internship at Electric Boat. As Dr. Garcia said, they did very good.
Well.
This year we were going to have 4 students taking the internship this summer at Electric Boat. We are going to make around $4,000 over the summer, over 6 weeks. And 3 of those students are female students.
Around $4,000. They can make much more than $4,000 over the summer electric boat.
So our philosophy is work in collaboration with the post-secondary institutions, mainly QVCC, but also we collaborate with Three Rivers Community College, also with manufacturers and the Region Workforce Board, to offer this educational opportunity for our Windham students to have a well-paying job after high school. As Dr. Garcia mentioned, we did this change. We want the students to finish high school with a certificate, with a college credential that they can take with them to get a well-paid job in a manufacturing company. One very, very important point is that a lot of these companies, they offer these tuition reimbursement programs, and the companies would pay for college if the students want to go back to school and finish a 2-year program or a 4-year program.
Okay, so let's talk about the approach of the program and how the approach of the program have changed over the 4 years. And again, because of the cycle of continuous improvement, we look at what we're doing, we're looking at the feedback of students, feedback from industry. We have a monthly meeting with industry and industry partners and the community college, so there's an advisory board to this program. And there are some financial resources that are afforded to us through this partner. So initially when we started the program, we wanted everyone to leave here with an associate degree and their high school diploma in 4 years or in 5 years or in 6 years. That was the initial focus of the program. We still maintain that we want students to obtain their associate degree. What has changed is that the students have told us a couple things. Number one, the ones that went to the internship want to graduate and want to go to the workforce. They don't want to spend another year at the high school. They don't want to spend a second year at the high school. So then we have to take that into consideration right away. The second is the demand of industry. The number of job opportunities in industry is so enticing for these students. So as soon as they go into their field trip with the industry partners, as soon as they have the opportunity to do their internship, they're coming back to us with, no, we can get our associate degree and they can pay for it, because yes, correct, you can go to Electric Boat and you can finish and they can pay for your degree. So we had to have a conversation with the community college of how we continue to achieve our goal, but also meet the needs of the students. And the third one is that there are students that really need to go out and be part of the workforce at this particular time because they have to do that because of economics. So Dr. Sanchez has done a pretty good job working with the community college. We have a new dean at QVCC. We also have a new partner at Electric Boat. And so we have figured out how can they obtain the credential that they need here, and then on an individual basis, Dr. Sanchez is working with QBCC to say, this is the plan for Jamie to finish at Quinnipiac. This is the plan for Mary to finish there. So our job continue once they leave us for the high school, because we are, I wouldn't say we're responsible, we are preparing that plan for them and how they continue. And so that is done in partnership with Electric Boat and QBCC and us. So that's really an adjustment to the program. And I don't know if you want to say something.
For our seniors, the seniors who are graduating this year, we are running a pipeline program only for them and the New London students. With this program, this is a 10-week program that is running at QBCC in Danielson. It's sponsored by Electric Boat. Electric Boat has the positions for the students. This program has been designed based on what Electric Boat needs. Electric Boat has 45 positions right now for these students.
These students.
For our seniors.
So once they graduate, they will have a job. They will have a job. So they're getting their job offer right now. And they can continue college. I mean, one of the things that Electric Boat have given our students is a mentor. And these mentors are director, for example, the director of design is a mentor of one of our students, engineers. Our partner is an engineer from Electric Boat, electronic engineer. Jamel is an electronic engineer. Some type of engineer he is. So one of the conversations that we have with them is these want these students to be, because the program includes different courses than the technical school. Remember, our students are taking what was traditionally called the soft skills that are not called those soft skills anymore, but they're taking those adaptive skills. They're learning to be leaders in our work learning experience. They're learning how to work with a team, project management. So in addition to the technical courses, they are provided with those leadership courses as part of this program that they will not get in those regular technical high school. Question? I thought you have a question? I thought you. Okay. Can we continue, Madam Chair?
Yes.
So I don't know, Dr. You want to do which one? I don't know if you want to take a little bit and show them. We were talking about that. So we talked about that already? Do you want to talk about the college courses?
These are the classes that are part of the certificate. We have 8 classes that the students have to take in order to get the certificate. They can get this certificate in 4 years during high school. Four out of these classes are taught here at the high school by our tech teacher, Dr. A. And the other 4 are, the students are going to QBCC to take the classes because they are taught at the manufacturing lab with the advanced and sophisticated equipment. We receive the money from EWIP to pay for transportation for the students. We also have the scope and sequence.
So here's a scope and sequence. Here is a scope and sequence. What it will look like for students that enter the program.
So the first class that the students take is manufacturing math. This is like basic math that the students take in their freshman year. Then they take a class in QBCC, safety in the workplace, and then they continue with the classes here at the high school to get ready for the advanced classes that are going to take place in QBCC.
I think it's important to mention that when the students enter 9th grade in this program, during the summer, 8th grade to 9th grade, these students are coming to a summer algebra camp. So these students are taking math and math and math from the moment they start. And they all come to a summer, a 6 weeks, 16 days, 17 days, summer, 7 weeks, of math during the summer, and they all come. So I also think it's important for you to see, and Dr. Sanchez can show you the performance of the students in this program, how well they're doing in their college courses that are taught by the professors at QBCC.
Only one student in ECHO has failed one class. That was the first group of students who took classes at QBCC. It was algebra, but the students, they do really good in those classes. We had students going to Windham Tech to take QBCC classes, English and algebra. And actually, I received emails from the teachers, from the QBCC faculty saying, oh my God, we are so pleased to have the Windham kids here with us taking classes. Once they are there in the college classes, they do very, very well.
The principal of Windham Tech has told us, and the director of the program there, the students and the director that is from Quinnipiac, the students are very motivated, very, very motivated. They have absolutely no problem with our students taking the courses over there. We are very proud of them. No behavior issue, and they're very motivated. And as you can see, they're doing pretty well in their courses. So this is another program that is very good for returning on academic investment.
Tracy? And then Mary, did you have a question?
How do we know how our students are going to do in the summer of 2019?
What are the students?
It's listed up there, summer of 2019, you have 7% of them getting Ds.
My bad. It was 2018.
Okay.
That was my, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Like, how do we know how they're going to do? That's pretty good.
Okay, so this finished our presentation of the
Oh,
ECO.
did Mary have a question?
Well, it was just what these EMA and
EWI.
EWA stand
EWI.
for. But I didn't want to interrupt you.
Eastern Advanced Manufacturing Association, and EWIP is the Eastern Connecticut Workforce
Investment Board.
Investment Board.
Thank you.
So there's a conglomerate about 35 industries, in the 35, 56 in the northeastern Connecticut area. So that's their board, those
Okay.
35 representatives.
Dr. Garcia, you said that 4 students did internships last summer?
For the electric boat, too.
Students are going
Electric.
to do
For
the
this year.
internships
This
this
year.
summer.
Okay, what happens to the other students that aren't doing internships?
So in the past, only electric boat was open for internships, but this year is going to be different. I had a meeting today actually, and we will have more EMA companies receiving our students. So I believe we will have at least 6 more companies taking interns.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
So
what
eventu-
happens to
So
the
eventually, we'll be able to grow.
All of them, right.
So that
right.
more of the
Right.
students, or if not all of them, will be able to do an
We've
internship.
tried to get more companies here in town. It's been very
Very difficult. Yeah.
We've tried to General Cable, but it's very difficult with these like big corporations because they have to go through the paperwork because these kids are like 16, 17, that's why. But we have like smaller companies in EMA and they are willing to take our students.
Electric boat is very difficult to get a internship with electric boat because the students need to go through a background check.
Right.
And so it's like they're working for the Department of Defense. They have to do a background check. They have to get fingerprinted. They have to do all of that. So it's much more convenient for us. We want to continue with electric boat, but it's much more convenient for us to look at the 56 partner that we have and see how we can get students. Transportation is an issue for our students, and these industry, not all of them are located. They are located in different part of northeastern Connecticut.
Okay.
But you are right. Like this is one of our main goals to get internships for all of our students, because this program is about getting an opportunity and a career opportunity for our Windham kids.
So we have 15 seniors right now in the program. I'm assuming, hopefully, most of them or all of them are graduating this.
Yes.
All of
How
them.
many will have associate's degrees? None.
At this particular time, because it's only 4 years, none of them. But we have a plan for them to continue. They want to go out and work. They want to go and work, so we're not going to stop them.
10 out of those 15 students are going to be part of the pipeline program.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other 5, one of them, he is moving to Texas, and the other 4 are going to college.
Okay. So what is once they graduate, they're no longer Windham Public School students. How do we liaison that with another institution or something so they continue to get it
Oops, sorry.
towards our ECHO?
Okay, so you're right. Once they graduate, they're not Windham Public School students. However, nothing precludes us from working with the other organization, and that's had been the conversation to make sure that we are developing the plan that they need, what courses they need in order to continue. So it's like mentoring or coaching someone. They may not be with you in the same state or the same place, but you still have a moral obligation. So it's like what happened after post-high school graduation. We still want to be invested in that. So we're not contributing any money, but what we're contributing is making sure that the plan that we have put in place for that students will continue with the community college. So basically a conversation that Anna will be having with the advisor at the community college or with the dean to see how those students are doing.
Any other questions before we move on? Thank you very much for that report.
So we have one more and we finish. I think it was important to give you all of them, Madam Chair, the same because all of them are intertwined. All of them are related. There's no sense to do ECHO and AP in different days. So we'll talk about the career pathways, and I'm going to have Dr. Aratna. As you can see, this process of lots of work of everyone. Have different people working in all of these. So Dr. Sanchez and Dr. Aratna is going to also be part of this process. So career pathways. So career pathways, high school renovation, and these are very intermingled, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I guess the development of career is very vital to the American economy. Today's high school are different than the high school that you and I attended many, many years ago. therefore, we as public school educators are responsible for giving students the tools, the knowledge, and the skill that they can be successful in career, or they can be successful in college. And that's why I'm very proud that we have the ECHO program. But what is a career pathways? And why in the United States, the big comprehensive high school, the reform now is to move to career pathways. So very simple definition of a career pathway is an educational plan to provide students for future career, job, and occupation from high school to college. Each step in the career pathway is designed to prepare students for employment as well as college. And you're going to see that is very unique in this program, that this program prepares students for college as well as preparing them for career. So I'm not going to go all the benefits that we have there for the sake of time, but the benefits are very, very simple. It is proven in research that the students that are involved in a career pathway program in high school graduate. The dropout rate is much, much lower with students that are part of our career pathway than students that are just in a regular comprehensive high school. Students, when they graduate from the career pathways high school, also can be employed. All right, now you want to come? Okay. And students have a much higher integrated curriculum. So there are some very big benefits. So I want to have a right now take over this, but I do want to just to mention to you that we have spent much time planning this change process, because it's a change process, and we know how difficult it is. And the change is not the issue, but people will think about the loss that will happen when we move from a comprehensive high school to another. So we have created a structure of how we move in different phases of this plan. So right now, there are two leaders that I have helping me in the design of the career pathway, and that's Dr. Sanchez and Dr. Mudambi.
Okay, as Dr. Garcia said, can y'all hear me? Because I know I always do this poorly. So as Dr. Garcia said, change is always really big. You know, we're trying to build this comprehensive high school with career pathways. And because it's such a big thing, and change can, there's always that risk of failure, right? So you have to make sure that you're doing it very methodically and very, thinking through the process. So what we did, we divided the change into 3 basic phases. And this year we've been working in phase 1, which is our planning process. So for the planning process, where we started was doing a SWOT analysis. So as y'all know, this is where businesses always start when they either want to start a business or they're doing entrepreneurship and starting some program within the business. So we looked at our strengths, we looked at our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. And if you go down, if you look at this is the SWOT analysis that we did. And we looked at some of the strengths. We have a lot of strengths to build on. For example, we have the Compañeros program, so we've already built capacity. We have a lot of students who are bilingual. So these are the strengths that we need to build on. But we also have threats, and one of them is the Connecticut teaching certificate requirement. So we have to think about that. And the idea of looking at the threats is knowing what do we face and how do we mitigate these threats. So if we go back.
I have a quick question. What does SWOT?
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I was going to ask you to say that out loud because not everybody knows what SWOT stands for.
Weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. So these are the common things that people look at in business. This analysis.
Basically, it's an analysis of organization to say, is the organization ready to take on this initiative? And what areas do we need to work on, or what areas do we have the resources? For example, if we don't have the resources to do this initiative, then what needs to get done in order to do this? So it's basically an analysis of the organization, of the capacity of the organization to embark in this change.
So after we did the analysis, what we did was look at a portrait of the graduate. So when you have this change process, we need to know what our end goal is. What is the capacity that we want to build in our students, in the Windham High School graduate? And so we had our high school faculty consider that and start painting that portrait of a graduate. We also had our leadership team do this. And Ms. Kavanaugh will talk in a little bit more about that. Once we did that, we started looking at the team that's going to be running the design process. And to do that, we made sure we weren't looking at titles. We weren't saying this person's in that position, so we're going to pull them into the team. What we did was really think about the attributes that we wanted on the team. So for example, some of the attributes may be knowledge-based. We want somebody who really understands special ed, so we have to think about who that would be. Somebody who really understands career pathways, maybe has worked in a school with career pathways already. So we want to really look at that. And then some of the attributes may be more of the adaptive skills. They really know how to communicate with the public or communicate with our students. So
This is a very touchy phase of the project. The very touchy phase of the project, as Aranda said, we created a guided coalition to support us, and you will see who are the members of the team that include people from staff from different sector of the district. But titles were not important. What we look at the attribute that people brought to the process. We already know what are the skills that we needed, so titles were not important. It's what are the attributes that we need to get the job done. And there are some instances that we had to have some courageous conversation to push people a little bit in the direction, or to say, okay, what are the support that they need to get those attributes in order to be part of this project.
So we made the list of attributes and we selected the people on it. And so you can see in the next page, the next slide, going a little back and forth here. We do have administrators on there, but we also have teachers. We also have counselors. So people from different positions based on the skills and different schools.
And this one here, what you have is, we don't have all the name, but these are all subcommittees that are composed of teachers. We did the swap. This is Pam.
No, before.
Oh, you already did that one. No, we're up here now. Okay, so one of the, come Pam, this is yours. So one of the things that was very important to us is, what's the end goal of our high school students? What should a high school student look like once they graduate from Windham High School? So Pam, you want to take that one over?
The faculty and staff at the high school and the leadership team took a look at what do we want our students to have as 21st century skills when they graduate, and we divided them up into 6 categories that you can see on the slide. Being able to be good communicators, problem solvers and critical thinkers, being knowledgeable about technology and how to conduct research, being creative and being innovators, being flexible and adaptive, and also having social and civic responsibility. So these are a summary of all of the characteristics that our staff put together as what we want our graduates to look like.
So in order to carry this initiative to fruition, we also have to have a framework. And Aranda, you want to talk about the framework? The framework is a process that took us a long, long time, because in order to develop this framework, we need to consider every single student in this high school. So we have students with AP, we have students with ACO, we also have special ed students, we have ELS students, we have SCI students, we have newcomers. So to develop the framework, we had to say, okay, we have alternative education students, how do we develop this framework for the career pathway? So the committee of about 15 people spent days and weeks looking at the framework and designing different framework, and so this is the framework that came out.
There were several iterations of this.
Could we get this slide full size after
Yeah.
this meeting?
Sure.
Because you can't read the writing at all
We will get it to you.
on here.
Janet will send it to you, not a problem.
And then it's too hard to read.
We're happy to share a piece of art here.
Okay, thank you.
Especially after so many iterations. So what we wanted to look at in it's still a comprehensive high school with career pathways, was the instruction side. We still want, we want that high quality instruction. So we will still have the core classes required for graduation and electives that are required. We want to be looking at the career pathways that we're going to be having, and also the freshman academy that's going to be the base for students to grow in it. And we also want to be looking at the programs that we have, for example, for our SLIFE students who are students with limited and interrupted formal education, our students who are in the special ed programs. We want to be looking at also the systems of support that we're going to have for students, socio-emotional, career counseling, the academic supports, all of that as well. So we put all of that together, and the other portion that we want to be thinking about in the high quality instruction is where we're going to go forward with the dual language program that we already have.
So we came up with some objective for career pathways. Pam, you want to take on that one?
So like Aradna said, we're going to be a comprehensive high school with career pathways, so that we're addressing all of the areas that Dr. Garcia has presented earlier tonight in terms of the college courses, in terms of the ECHO program. They're all built into the career pathways, which are going to have these objectives: keeping to holding rigorous academic standards, industry standards, being able to earn college credit and earn industry credentials like Anna talked about before in terms of apprenticeships, employability skills, and leadership competencies, and then having work-based learning experiences throughout their high school career.
I'm not going to spend more time with this, but currently at this particular time, the team have identified 3 pathways for the high school. Business and technology, health science, and liberal arts and human services. And these are the pathways that are in the ESPEC. I don't want you to be concerned about the list of occupation that you see underneath there. This does not mean that we are offering all those occupation. What it means are that these are the occupation that fall under that particular career pathway. We already know that from the high school, our students are very interested in the CNA. So that will be an occupation that we will offer under the health and health sciences. So this is just for your information, not that we will be offering those to all of these. So
Dr.
this-
Garcia, when will the career pathways and occupations list be finalized?
So the committee is in that process right now. So the committee's meeting. I don't think it will be finalized before the end of the school year. They're getting ready to finalize the exploratory course that will be offered in 9th grade. As soon as they move away from that, then they'll work to the occupation. However, in the previous work that has been done already, due to the ESPEC, they had to have discussion of what possible occupation could be involved. And that's why I said CNA, because that one came out as we did the survey with the students, and that required a specialized classroom, and we had to put it in the ESPEC. We're not going to go over.
Murphy
Oh.
has a question.
I'm just looking at this, it's awfully tech-centric. And I'm a tech guy, so, but what bothers me about it, and what's bothered me about it all along is, we're talking, one of the other things that we've been talking about is a dual language school. This curriculum seems, this direction seems light on language arts.
Okay.
In particular.
Okay, so good discussion. That's on the table of discussion. That's right now on the table of discussion. I am a proponent of second language. Have to be. I am a second language learner. Oh my God, and I'm a proponent of foreign language also. But I think we have another avenue to achieve that. Through our biliteracy, our SELA biliteracy, we can achieve that students obtain that dual language. One of the things that are coming out as we have focus group with our students, something that came out that we were not aware, is that the students are really looking at the human services side of the careers. The students are saying, why we're not offering something in the area of law, criminology, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to pay attention to that. So it's not that we will not offer foreign languages, but I think we can achieve that goal through the SELA biliteracy versus just making foreign language one occupation by itself. It will not have.
It wasn't just that. It's even the just. I mean, I know this is a tentative list and
Yes.
and it's also an incomplete list, but it's tech centric. It's not really I mean, for example, even under business, the largest number of business jobs are in sales. I'm sorry, but that's the biggest category outside of accounting and finance.
So give us the
More
opportunity.
sales jobs than anything else.
So this is not final. Give the team the opportunity. These are what the state of Connecticut says are the occupation, but this is not final. And again, let's listen to the kids. Like I said, I met with them last week, and it never crossed my mind. And I went back to Pam and to Anna. It never crossed my mind that we'd be interested in teaching criminology and anything in the area of law. And the kids said, yes, they wanted that. So we have to go back and rethink it. I think, Anna, you have some information there you want to share with us?
There are so many occupations for each pathway that it was impossible for me to
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, we're not
all
going
of
to teach
them on one
It's
single
just an
slide.
arbitrary list.
Yeah,
Correct,
yeah.
correct. But yes, you are right. In marketing, we have a lot of occupations with like good salaries. But this is work in progress. We have been working not only with the students, the families. We have to work with the teachers as well, with the community partners, because we have to talk to the industries to see if the pathways are going to be like a good option for the students once they finish the pathway, because we want students with jobs. And also one important aspect of this is this is an avenue to get a career, right? We want to offer not only like employment opportunities, but also like the college opportunities. This is having a career. You can take like different avenues. You can go to college and have a career. You can start working right after high school, work for a couple of years, then go back to school, and then go back to work, or work and study simultaneously. We want all our students to have a plan with them, a concrete plan right after high school. That's what we want for every single student.
Some of them will go to college right away. And some of them will go to college right away, and some of them will decide to go, go into the Army or going to the Navy. But we want them to know what they want to do once they leave here.
40-some years ago, there was a very good book titled The Case Against College. So everybody doesn't have to go to college,
Yeah.
but in today's world, it's very hard to go very far without doing something post-high school. There are tech schools, professional schools. It's not always college, but for example, there are lots of really good jobs in HVAC. That's heating, air conditioning, and ventilation. That doesn't require a college degree, but it does require training after high school.
Okay, but hopefully we can prepare the student for him to own his own business in HVAC.
So, and it's really hard for someone who's 14, 15, or 16 to envision where they're going to be when they're 30 or 35. So the real trick is to develop a curriculum that doesn't close opportunity and creates options that students may not even realize they want to take advantage of until years later.
Okay, so although we mentioned that we want students to be able to have a career, to be employed, our curriculum and the way how we design it, the scope and sequence of our courses are also college, meaning they can graduate and also go to college. They will have the requirement to enter college. So I know we have a lot of emphasis on the career pathways, but we are not putting aside the requirement for college, and that is also important. So I want to make sure that we understand that we're doing both at the same time. Difficult, but we're doing both. For sake of time, I'm not going to go over those 3 samples and what classes would look like. You can read that at home. But I do want to go to the last slide, and the last slide I know is one that you guys are asking the question about. Well, how is this all aligned to the aspect? And based on my knowledge and information from my team, we have the 3 career pathways in there. We're not going to go over them. We mentioned them. Core classes in the career pathways are aligned to the graduation requirement, totally aligned. Elected courses that meet career pathway requirements also meet graduation requirements. And Mrs. Lambert asked how many new classroom we have in the EdSpec at this particular time, and my team can help me. I know of only 2 new classrooms added because of the career pathway, and one is in health sciences. Pam, we have something in the architect, and we can talk about that better. We have a room in the biology for CNA. In the biology lab, there's a room, and also there's a room, audio visual new room. So there's only 2 new rooms that we know that are new to the specification. Any question? I know we took more time.
Are there any questions? Tracy had her hand up first, then Mary.
I had 2 questions, if I may. The first one is, with Eastern right across the street, why is teaching or secondary, like elementary education, not a pathway?
I'm going to let Anna, first of all, there are too many elementary education teachers that don't have jobs. I mean, in the state of Connecticut, there are hundreds of elementary preschool teachers that do not have employment. They're not the vacancies.
Why don't we have secondary education as an option, like some kind of general teaching?
I think that can still be an option because we have the pathway that we have is liberal arts and human services. And that's a very broad pathway. You can include teaching, you can include human services. This is a work in progress. We are having discussions. We have to talk to our stakeholders to ask them and to make sure what we are going to offer, that's the best option for our kids and for the community.
And so the other part of that is that you may think teaching is something that is very important, and we do think so. We want to grow our own teachers, want students to go into teaching. Unfortunately, the majority of high school students do not want to go into teaching. They do not. And minority students do not want to go into teaching. And another thing is the students do not have a good experience in high school. They do not want to go into teaching. So there's a lot of factors about teaching. Number one, the students that have a terrible experience in high school do not want to see teaching even close to them. And minority students have so many, yes, they do not. And in the survey it came out very clear. Minority students have tremendous negative experience in high school. They do not want to go into teaching. And number two is that, they have so many other opportunities right now in technology, in the science field. So it's not a much attractive field.
Tracy, do you have another
Do
question?
we have an option to that survey? Does the board get to see that survey?
It was done through the Department of Guidance. I'm pretty sure they can share the results.
Okay.
Okay.
The other thing was, financially, we have a hard time passing budgets. We're in a little bit of a sticky wicket right now. How do we plan on paying for this? Because my son, who's in AP, didn't have books until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So how are we going to pay for all of this new fold-out? I know that some of the space and some of the FF&E is going to come out of the high school renovation, but sustaining this and maintaining it and getting teachers that can teach all of these things, when you just said a little while ago, we have a hard enough time getting teachers that could teach basic ECE classes. This is a real concern. If this is a direction we're going to go in, it's the same problem this board found themselves in when we considered a Montessori school and other things. How do we afford to begin it, and how do we afford to maintain it?
Okay, so let me first clarify a statement that you made. You made a statement that, and I'm going to be right up front, that they just obtained books a couple of weeks ago. That was not because of funding. That was because of the lack of a previous employee of this high school to put in the PO. But it was not because of the lack of funding. So I just want to clarify that for everybody that is hearing, that is, the books were not delayed because of funding. The books were delayed because somebody did not follow up with that PO in the school. So, not even in central office, because we don't get into that. So I want to clarify that. Number two, so we have a vision and we have a mission and we have a theory of action and we have a strategic plan. Our job is, as board members and as superintendent, to figure out how we remove those barriers. If we said we want to educate kids for college and career, all students, all mean all. So our job is to think about it and to figure and to remove those barriers and to put in place those resources that will make it happen. Do I have all the answers for you tonight? Absolutely no. But those are the answers when you come out with your commitment, because you have to be committed to this. And once you're committed to this, then we set our priority. This is a priority for us. If this is a priority for the board, then it's a priority for the superintendent. I would make it happen. But I think what we need to do is be open-minded and have a mind that we will remove those barriers that will stop this from happening, that will stop this from educating our kids. And so tonight I'm not ready to tell you how we want to do this. One strategy I know is that we do have to have a different type of recruitment approach. We do have to go out there and recruit people that have those degrees. That will be an approach. It's very difficult, so maybe we have to add more money to HR for the recruitment. Maybe we have to work with UConn or Eastern to make sure they can graduate students that have that degree in mathematics. But those are all things that we have to take a look at. You know, a couple years ago when we didn't have bilingual teachers, we recruited teachers from Puerto Rico. And so now the bilingual program is working, and now we have bilingual teachers. First, they said we cannot do this because we didn't have bilingual teachers. And so we do have the bilingual program, and every year we advance one more grade in the district in the bilingual program. But we had to have a different approach to recruiting. So I think this is a conversation that will continue with the board. It doesn't end tonight. And I think with the leadership of the board and in partnership with my team and we will be able to answer those questions. But I think the first thing is that we need to be very, very clear that we are committed of doing this, that we are committed to making sure that our kids are educated, and that we are committed to equity. So the same thing you will say, okay, what about the ECE program? So I want to make sure that we don't only offer a program as AP and EC, that we can offer a range of programs where all students can benefit from in the school. Before I end, I do want to thank.
There's another question from Mary.
Okay. I thought I was free now, but I guess not. No, yeah.
Well, actually, I was also going to ask about why teaching wasn't listed. I just think it should be, and I'm also very concerned to hear whether it's a statistic nationwide about students having a poor experience in school. I certainly think that the conditions of schools in distressed districts is part of that, but that is a conversation to continue. I think the stress on teachers is also something. And the first thing I was going to say was I would prefer to recast the idea of teacher certification in Connecticut as being one of the threats listed in your SWOT analysis, because I'm actually proud to be from a state that has some of the highest and most difficult qualifications for teachers. And we've just emphasized the importance of education, certification, all kinds of programs, so we should actually embrace that. And if we have a problem recruiting teachers, we do have to not water down Connecticut's certification process.
That's the voice of the people that participated in the SWAT, so that's why you sit there, was the voice of the participant. That's not Dr. Garcia or Dr. Sanchez voice. It's the voice of the participant. It's capturing the swap. So that's why it's
Well, I've heard that before, actually, that you know, people want some different certification for Windham, which I find troubling, but.
I don't want to end without really, as you can see, the last work that was put into the presentation, without thanking members of our team, Dr. Ratna, Dr. Sanchez, Mr. Conway, Neil Weathers, Pam Cavanaugh, and Dr. Youngberg for all the hard work and the preparation in getting this done. It was really a pleasure to work with all of them, and thank you for the teamwork. Let's go, guys. We did a good job.
Thank you very much. So I'll give you a chance to sit down, and what we're going to do is we're going to move on to discussion and possible action regarding Windham High School ed specs.
Okay, I do want to thank Mr. Pellman and Mr. Roach.
Do you all want to come
Yeah,
up
yeah.
to the table?
Yeah, Mr. Pellman and Mr. Roach and Mr. Callahan.
You can pull extra chairs up.
The last time we presented the EdSpec to the board, I believe you gave us a task, the board gave us a task that we had to complete. And I do want to thank Mr. Callahan, that I met with him, and the two gentlemen here, Mr. Pellman and Mr. Roach. And it was a good working session, excellent working session, and we're able to accomplish that task. Mr. Callahan, I think you'll be very pleased to see that we're able to, without any hesitation, get to the numbers that we think are appropriate for the space for the central office, and that my team and I feel very comfortable with. But I do want to thank the two gentlemen, and I want to thank you for that meeting. So they're here to answer, to present. I think I'm going to step back a little bit. I have talked all night. I need a little break, and they can take it over.
Okay. And make sure you introduce yourselves for the public that are watching on television.
Certainly. My name is Mike Callahan. I'm a resident of Windham and chairman of the Windham High School Building Committee. I would like to just make a couple of very introductory comments, and I would also suggest that our two consultants here would be happy, I'm speaking on their behalf, to answer questions and maybe add to some of the comments that I have. The first comment I'd like to make is that we really are not here to comment on the ed spec. It was very interesting listening to the conversation and the discussions. So anything we say relative to the ed spec are as they relate to the building committee's tasks. So the first comment I would like to make is that the Fryer Architecture and Collins, represented by these two gentlemen, did work with the school administration and the school staff and teachers on the educational specification for the three programs. So we are very much aware of what the ed spec is as it relates to the building committee's undertaking. Bob has done a very good job of taking the educational specification, and he has turned the ed spec into two documents that for our purposes will be very useful, and we think for the Board of Ed as well. The first document is what we call a program document, and it's simply a tabular form that lists the functional spaces for each of the three programs versus the square footage.
That's what we received.
That's my understanding that you have that. So that's the program, and it's a tabulation of spaces and functions versus square footage. And that's Bob's starting point for the second document that he has prepared, and that is a floor plan of the proposed reconfiguration or layout of the school. So that's essentially a floor plan. And again, that's a tool that's very useful for us and should be useful for the teachers and staff and the Board of Education as we move forward. I would say as my third comment is that the building committee has reviewed the ed spec, but more importantly, we've reviewed the program and the plans prepared by Bob. We have concluded, for the most part, and again, I'm only offering a qualifier because there will be refinements and adjustments as we work through the program. But in general, the program and the plan that Bob has put together appears, and actually I do believe, aligns with the ed spec as presented to us. So we are, as a building committee, pretty much ready to move forward if the ed spec is approved. We think the plan as prepared by Bob is workable and appropriate for the following reasons. And these are my most important comments because I do think we do have an obligation to the Board of Ed to let you know what our perspective is. So as you're considering the ed spec, you understand, if you continue to debate or if you want to fine tune the ed spec or whatever the outcome is, you understand, at least from our perspective, the value of the ed spec to us as written. First and foremost, the building committee, and principally me, I don't want to go out on the limb and speak for all the building committee members, but for all practical purposes, the plan meets the 3 program requirements as outlined in the specification. We have all the spaces, not only we have all the sizes, we have all the adjacencies that make sense, we have the separation of the spaces. So the plan as presented by Bob and his team with input from Scott is pretty good in terms of the alignment of the program. And again, I'm speaking not as a teacher, as an educator, but from a building committee perspective. We also think it's workable and appropriate for the following reasons. It does isolate the spaces, as I've said. It maintains the large functional spaces that are a real gem for this building. We have kept the auditorium intact, the gymnasium and the athletic facilities, the pools, the cafeteria, and the kitchen. So that was an important thing. At least it was my understanding that was important from the community standpoint. So the plan does maintain those large functional spaces. It will require some small additions to the building, not just internal modifications, but additions. It's my opinion, and I believe it's the design team as well as the rest of the building committee. Those additions are appropriate. We will have to work to make sure we're able to convince our community of that, as well as the State Board of Education. But it seems to make sense, so I think we will not have any difficulty convincing anybody that might question that. So I'm comfortable with the additions as they stand, principally because they support the ed spec and the program. We include all the athletic facilities inside and outside, which is good. Initially, the ed specs did not include the athletic facilities in great detail, and those have been brought in. And again, I think the building project will support those as written. And then down to sort of the nitty-gritty, but nonetheless very important elements. The plan as developed will maintain all the required fire safety egress, so the building will remain safe from an egress standpoint. We will be working with a design team to work on safety and security, as we all want, and as we all know, that's an important criterion, and I don't see any major elements of the plan as presented that would make that at all difficult. And then probably the most important from the building committee standpoint, we think it's constructible. We can build in accordance with Bob's plan. I don't see any major elements that are it's going to be a challenge, but there are no showstoppers in my judgment. And I also do believe where we are now, there are going to be questions regarding the budget. I do think as developed, it's affordable, and we're going to be able to do it. And again, depending on what we call the budget, I think we're going to be fine. We will work diligently with the town council and the community to put forward a plan that ultimately meets the community's needs. I don't see that we're so far off from the budget. So again, I think the plan that Bob and Scott have worked on does in fact align with the ed spec, and we're ready to go. I need to say there will be fine-tuning and changes, and we will continue discussions with the teachers, the school administration, the Board of Ed, and the community, and anybody that has an interest. So we will, as the process moves forward, we will continue to work diligently. We still have to develop the overall construction cost. We have to develop a really deep understanding of what the reimbursable rates are from the state of Connecticut, and that's going to be one of Scott's principal responsibilities, and that was one of the reasons we hired Collins, because of their experience, Colliers, I'm sorry.
I was going to say
I'm going to
Colliers.
start calling Bob Mr. Fryer. I'm sorry. So we have some work with the state of Connecticut, and that's a next major milestone for us. And then, of course, we will come back to the board and the community within a short period of time and share overall construction schedule. So those three elements, constructability, schedule, and cost, will be further developed in the very near term. We will continue to reach out. I think we're at the point now where we can reach out to the public, start to really get input from the community, both from the stakeholders who will be using the facility, parents with kids coming up, but also the community at large. So we will work very hard to reach out to the community, and the superintendent has good staff that we've been working with that we will take full advantage of. And again, I have to say, we will continue to work with the school staff and teachers. That's really an important element. We have a very good liaison in Tracy, who's a building committee member, but has a very strong connection with the teacher and the school community, so we'll continue to work there. And then last is, we will certainly come back to the Board of Education for any updates at any time. So again, tonight we are here principally to support and answer any questions that you might have relative to the building committee's outlook relative to the ed spec. And my last and final comment is we do need to move forward, so we're hoping that if not tonight, sometime soon, that we get action on the board, from the board on the ed spec. Our next major milestone is a pretty significant meeting with the state Board of Education, and we have to have our plan, our budget, our team, and our approach that we can with confidence say aligns with a Board of Ed approved ed spec. So we're here for,
Are there,
oh, I'm sorry. You're
do the
standing
other
behind me.
gentlemen at the table want to say anything
ahead.
to add to that?
Can I just ask a quick question? You said that there's a meeting with the state board. When will that be?
That has not been scheduled
Okay.
to date. So I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to
You want to
turn it over-
introduce
Oh,
yourself?
I'm sorry, Scott Pellman from Colliers, owner's project manager. I'd like to turn it over to Bob so he can give a presentation of the documents. And just looking back about a month, the last time we were in front of you, we were having some discussions about the 3 different program spaces and those fitting within this building. So, we requested that the board authorize Bob to go ahead and do a test fit of the building. So that's what you're going to see this evening in presentation of how the ed spec, the final ed spec, actually fits into the current building we're in with some small additions. While we were doing that process, we worked diligently with the administration, with Dr. Garcia, with Pam, Aliki, Albie, to look at all 3, the high school, the ECC, and the central office space. And I will say that every space now, I think I can safely say, has been optimized. The appropriate program spaces are there. They're appropriately sized. We were able to make, I think, reductions in each one of the 3 program areas that actually helped everything fit together better. So as Michael had said, what we need to do now is, we want to present, the ed spec, the final ed spec, in graphic form to show you how it fits in the building. But then certainly we're going to be looking for this board's acceptance of the ed spec to move forward with the project and move forward with the state of Connecticut.
Okay, Bob?
Good evening. My name is Bob Roach with Fryer Architecture. As Scott and Mike mentioned, what you're going to see tonight are conceptual plans, not necessarily proposed or recommended designs, but an exercise that we had talked about when we met with you last time. It sounds like Bob did a lot of work. He did not. Adam and Alicia are going to present tonight. They're the ones who did the majority of the work. They can start setting up the boards right now. So what we're going to show to you is basically 2 options of a plan. Option 1 is taking the high school building as is with some minor additions, just to show you how the ed spec could or could not work in just trying to take the building as it stands today. Option 2 is a more thorough presentation which reflects meeting the full ed spec, and with a little bit more addition that Michael had mentioned. So with each of these options, we're going to walk you through them floor by floor and explain to you how they're laid out, and basically want to give an overview of where the areas are. Again, this is not a proposed plan, so I'd like to take a higher level view at this point, but if you have specific questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
So you're basically saying don't get completely fixated on all the details.
Exactly.
This is just a first.
This is a conceptual exercise, and once you approve the ed spec and tell us if we can move forward, then we will go into schematic design and design development. So there's going to be many iterations of plans as we move forward, as we meet with the staff again, as we get public input and hear from you.
Good evening. Adam Palmer, Senior Project Manager with Friar Architecture, and with me is Alicia Rosalie. So, Bob didn't do no work. I don't want him to understate his involvement here. But he was a very integral part to feeding us the information we needed to be able to take the ed spec, which is a document we have to adhere to as best as possible. But we also have to think about the building and the site for circulation, for safety, for security. And the bigger picture is we have three entities that will be occupying this building. They each need to exist. They need to coexist. They need their own identity. They need their own entrance. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces that we have to work into this building, while also thinking about it's not an endless pool of money that we have to work with. Bring all that together, try our best to work within the confines of the existing building, and figure out what needs to be pushed, what can be pulled, how can we massage the building to get all of this to coalesce in one large community underneath the roof that we're in now. One big thing starting out was we're trying to expand ECC, give them an identity, and especially with that group, how can we let them occupy a bigger portion of the building and maintain safety? What's the best place for them to go in the building on the site? So with that, the most logical place was the back side of the building, essentially, that gives those students a safe haven on this site so that they're not at the front of the building. Let the front of the building be occupied by the administration, by the Board of Ed. That was our first paramount decision on how to big picture organize the building and the site. So, going into more detail on option one, we have ECC at the back, main admin, essentially where they are now, Board of Ed taking over the front of the building adjacent to them. I'll let Alicia go into a little bit more detail on that.
Sure. So we'll start with the ECC. Everybody enters through that same entrance that we use now for the Board of Ed. So the thought there is that you have your administration there. You keep your youngest kids closest in that current Board of Ed wing. And then as you move down, you have all the rest of your spaces. The thought here is that your main play spaces will be right outside, so you'll access them pretty close to the administration. You're keeping your nurse close by. So the thought is they're all, by code, they need to be on the main level. So what we've done is kept everybody on the main level. All the student spaces are contiguous here. So we have a couple support spaces outside, but those would be teacher-only lunchroom type spaces. So that was the main goal for ECC. From there, like what Mike said earlier, we kept all the big high school spaces in their same location. So we're talking about the cafeteria, the mechanical rooms, your auditorium, your PE spaces. So from there, all our decisions were the general classrooms, the science classrooms, where those were going to go. We've kept the admin at the front so that they're easy to get to, easy to see. Same with the Board of Ed here. So this is option one that we're looking at. And really, some of the main differences between 1 and 2 are just the size of your Board of Ed suite and additions. We have an elevator and stair addition, and that's for life safety. That's to make sure that everybody on the upper level is getting out. So no matter what, you need to address that. The second small addition is in your ECC, And again, that's to keep your corridors separate. You want all the kids to be able to get out of the auditorium, but you don't need them crossing paths with the really small children. So we've bumped out so that we can add this second corridor here. We've made these 3 usable spaces, but not necessarily as big as they'd like to be per the ed spec. So your Board of Ed is in an existing space, and that has about 9,000 square feet. But the requested program space is about 14,000. So that's kind of, and then not too much has changed in the PE area. We would move the women's locker room down to the lowest level to comply with Title IX. But aside from that, things are just shifting around there just a little bit, but for the most part, they're in the same place. On the upper level, we tried to keep as many existing walls in the same location, and that's has a lot to do with cost savings and getting as many rooms as possible into the program. So overall, based on the ed specs and the program spreadsheet, 25 general classrooms were requested. We were able to include 24. Science labs we've kept in a lot of the same locations. 5 were requested. We were able to fit 4. And art rooms, 3 were requested. We were able to fit 2 in this plan. Music rather. They had all of their spaces. All of the special ed spaces were included on the main level. We didn't have any issues fitting things in there. The only addition on this level is just your stair. Lower levels, or the lower level is very similar to what's going on now, except we've moved your weight room and your wrestling room up to the main level so that we can have the women's locker room down with all the other locker rooms closer to the natatorium and the gymnasium.
And then shared between options 1 and 2, at the end here we have the schematic site plan showing, keeping cost in mind, as little reconfiguration to the site as possible where we could. So namely, this portion of the parking lot in between the gymnasium and then the new Board of Ed facility that's outside of the main building. Reusing that parking and circulation area as is, while reclaiming some of the lawn space in front of the building to expand the parking along the street and revamping the circulation of buses for bus drop-off coming into and out of the site, parent drop-off coming into and out of the site, and now adding in a much better circulation path for ECC, giving them their own separate bus loop by their main entrance so that their bus traffic comes in, goes to their own dedicated location. They're not crossing with the buses for the bigger kids. They're not having to cross paths with visitor parking in the front of the building, trying to keep best separation of those 3 use groups. So essentially this site plan is the same between options 1 and 2. As Bob mentioned, option 1, we took the approach of expand the building as little as possible, keeping cost in mind. With that, we had some downfalls to the requested space in the ed spec. The Board of Ed was suffering significantly from the requested space by trying to stick to that direction of not adding on to the building. So we stepped back with guidance from the building committee. We looked at it again as to how can we add on to the building within reason to get the ed spec to work and not be turning the building on its end and saying, okay, we're going to get rid of the cafeteria, we're going to move that to a different part of the building. What impact does that have? We're not doing any of that. Those big spaces had to stay, so that meant strategic building additions that would allow the ed spec to meet the requirements that were given to us. So with that, ECC, there really is no change. That we had worked out. The biggest change here is expansion through an addition of the Board of Education. which gets us to the requested space requirements. In addition to that, it also allows us to give the high school a bigger presence on the main level. That was another downfall to option one, was essentially the main level of the high school had your large assembly spaces, but not really any educational space for the high school. By putting in a larger building addition, we've now recaptured space on this main level, and there are 6 high school classrooms on this level. Whereas before, I think we had, 1 in this back corner. So there was this one little island of high school educational space on the main level. Everything else was upstairs. Now, the high school is occupying more of the building and not being cast away to the second floor and letting the other functions take over the main level. Again, we've maintained identity at the front of the school for Board of Education and for the high school, thinking through the security of how people approach and enter the building, whereas right now you enter into a stairwell, which is a security concern of ours. We would address all of that in any of the entrances into the building, fixing any of the downfalls that exist now. Is there anything else on the main level?
No, I think the only other addition was for ECC to maintain their NIAC standards. What they needed were larger gross motor rooms. So in the first plan, you saw a smaller addition to get that corridor in for life safety. In this one, this will maintain their accreditation.
Moving to the second level, with the building additions that we're proposing, we for the Board of Education, we will be able to take some of that space up onto the second level, which allows us to provide a larger, in this configuration, a larger suite for the art department than was proposed in option one. General classrooms, essentially the same as in option one. The science labs and the pathways program pieces now have a better arrangement with spaces that are more in line with the requested square footage from the education specification. And as was pointed out earlier, we do have an allied health lab here, which is one of the added spaces to the building that does not exist now. The allied health and the digital media production, those are the two important new spaces to the education portion of this building. Lower level is the same between both.
No, the new addition for the Board of Ed actually gave us the opportunity to add some much needed storage. So the thought is that long-term Board of Ed storage would go on the first level. There'd be some general storage within their suite. And then it also gives you the opportunity to add physical education storage. So we've given them storage within the building, and then this would be accessed from the outside. So the thought here is that that would be seasonal storage. The rest of this outline kind of shows you the addition above, but you don't need to infill all of it.
So all told, that results in approximately 16,000 square feet of new building space that does not exist today. So we did what we could to massage the space requests in the ed spec, taking into account all the life safety issues, all the circulation issues, all the educational requirements, and not take the easy way out and say, well, you just need a 50,000 square foot addition, and that's that. We wanted to make sure that every space that we were proposing was thought through, met the education requirements, and met all the circulation requirements for getting all three of these individual use groups into the building, so that they can not only exist but thrive in this building. With that, I guess we will open up to any questions that you may have.
Mary?
Obviously, option 2 looks pretty good. I want to know, will teachers have to share classrooms in option 2?
That was my question. That was Ilda's question also.
I don't.
I know we have 25 classrooms were requested. We've added 27. I don't know that would give you a classroom for every teacher. I'm not sure.
Does anybody have a response on that?
Well, you guys are there. Do you want to, yes, they will have to share classrooms. They will have to
Yeah.
share classrooms. And I
Yes.
think, I don't hear you mention, there are some spaces that were developed, like faculty staff lounge. I don't know if, workspaces for teachers. I didn't hear you mention those, but I think when I look at the design, there were,
Each level has a
two?
faculty break room and a faculty workroom.
okay.
Yeah, if I could answer that. Dr. Garcia and I had conversations, a considerable conversation about the change from a relatively large school with, and I don't want to use the word dedicated classrooms, but almost dedicated classrooms. And, that's a traditional model. This facility will, in fact, have shared classrooms. And again, as I said earlier, we will work diligently. The superintendent and administration is going to have to work with the teachers to help them understand the new paradigm relative to dedicated spaces. But it's a undertaking that we think is worthwhile because there's going to be other benefits that are gained. So our approach is there will be shared classrooms, but we're making provisions for teachers to have spaces that are either workrooms or we have not really fully developed. Are we going to create teacher rooms that have dedicated spaces for personal effects and cubbies for their equipment, and then they go to classes? That's something to be really worked out. But I think there's enough flexibility in the plan, and if there's flexibility on the administration and teacher side, that we'll be able to work that out so we'll get reasonable level of satisfaction in terms of functional use of the space as well as maintaining a reasonable work environment for folks.
Mary, are you done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that works for every discipline because some have, books, shelves, and materials, kind of on a cart is really not optimal, but.
Right. Yeah, and again, Mary, I completely agree with that. And a more maybe extreme example is the science labs probably aren't going to be shared spaces, but maybe there are some academic classes that are relatively straightforward because you're using electronic technology and you've got smart boards and other technology that allow those rooms to be more flexible. And again, that's, as I said earlier, those are the challenges that we have remaining within the ed spec. And again, I want to be careful. It's really not the building committee's responsibility to work that out. So that's going to be left on this side of the table with our help, we hope. I would like just to make one comment in terms of the presentation. Again, I think the design team has done a very good job working with the teachers and the administration. There are lots of elements that I believe will be in the program that we haven't even begin to think in depth about, and that is, how does the building present itself, in terms of public entrances? Are there going to be opportunities to create additional spaces or circulation that really sort of make this an enhanced educational environment? We're really on, at this stage, the big blocks to make sure the program elements work, and we, again, over the next course of the design effort, we've got some fine-tuning and maybe some major changes that make it a better space, not just a different space. And that could, Mary, include how do we resolve the classroom issues. So,
Tracy, you were up next.
It's Alicia, right? Yes. This is for Alicia and Adam. In the second option, are the labs smaller on the second level?
In the second option, I believe 3 of the labs are larger and 2 of the labs are the same size. So we're looking at a larger physics lab, 2 larger chem and bio labs, and then there's 2 chem bio labs that are in existing spaces, and your allied health is in an existing science lab space now.
Okay, because in the first one where the CR12 is, it was a lab before, so I'm just wondering if everything kind of got squished up, or do you see the difference in the 2 drawings? Look at option 1 versus option 2. You added a CR12 there.
Right.
Does that make the other smaller?
No, what we did was actually take classrooms that were up here, moved them down to that lower level, and we shifted all these labs around.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any other questions,
No, that's
Tracy?
it for now, thank you.
Anybody on this side of the table? Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead,
Maybe
Jaime, and
use
then
your
Murphy.
yellow plan. I think I missed that. What is the BOE on the right side, the small?
That's one of mine.
That's the facilities building. Sorry, guys.
That
that's
says
your-
BOE, that's a
Yeah.
facility building?
Yep.
Correct.
It's
Yeah,
there
okay,
now.
I missed that, so it was sort of a, thank you.
It's that building that's in the
It's
end
already
of the
here.
parking
Yeah,
lot. It's
okay.
there already.
I just missed
So-
it. Explain that.
Okay. Murphy?
All right, so on the space areas on the first page, it lists the BOE requested is 20,898. That number, is that really correct?
That was in a previous version of the ed spec.
Okay,
If you
so-
look at option 2, that is the correct requested square footage. That should have been updated.
So the
but-
13,041 is the correct. Now, and that does or doesn't count that facilities building up by the parking lot?
That does not.
It does not?
Correct.
So that building's just basically an external, okay?
Correct.
It belongs to the BOE, but it's not really part of what we're doing here.
Does it count
Okay.
food service office?
Yeah.
Well, what was your question, Tracy?
I asked if it counted the food service office that they've moved to the cafeteria.
I believe the food service office, I think, was included in that 13,000, but that space is pulled out and it is shown on the plan, just not with the rest of the.
Now, it's listed as BOE space on the second option, which gives the BOE 14,832, which is actually more than the 13,041 that we got squeezed down to. So I guess the remaining question is, ECC's got according to the numbers that we were given from Mr. Roach's listing, ECC had a requirement, a request of 48,799, and none of these figures get there. So what are they losing?
I think that was, through the options, that was just optimization of hallway space and the net to gross ratio, that 35% we're showing for quarters and such. We were able to tighten that down in the options.
So after you put that list together, they managed to squeeze out 7,000 square feet?
I'm sorry, which option are you looking at, Dr. Sewell?
This is the Early Childhood Center.
Option 1 or option 2?
Well,
he's looking first at the chart.
The requested you've got down here is 44,856. Okay, and then option 1 gets it down to just under 41,000. Option 2 gets it down to under 42,000. In neither case do you get the 44,856, and then the number that you had before that was 48. So you squeezed it down from 48,799 to 44,856, and then we still didn't get there. So, but the high school had a request of under 162,000, and in either case they're over 170 or 170, 180.
Well, that's one of the reasons we did this exercise, because we're dealing with putting the programs in the optimal spaces, and we're dealing with adjacencies. What can we fit next to each other? We're not going to, we're not going to give the early childhood spaces here in a nice secure area and then give them another space across the hallway where students have to cross and things of that nature. And this was all done in working with Aliki and working with the administration as well.
Well, I understand. I don't have a problem with the high school getting a little extra space, especially since they're already dealing with the shared classroom issues. But the question is, if early childhood at most gets 41,000, whatever it was in the second one, 41,731, is that going to be enough to meet their ed spec requirements?
Well, that's what we have to go back and talk to Aliki about once again. Because we had talked with her in going through the program all along, but now we have to go back and say, if this is a path, if you're letting us loose to go forward and make a true schematic design, then we're going to say, okay, this is our first run at this. Here's what you're losing and where. Does that work for you, or can we adjust your requirements? Yes, and all of these, Alicia, you must-
Yes, I believe you meet the requirements. We looked at all the.
Can you repeat the question because not everybody heard it?
Sure. The question is, do we meet the NIAC standards?
And what are the NIAC standards for the general public watching this? What does that mean?
It relates a lot to the square footage per student.
It's the National Association for the Education of Young Children. And they
Hold it closer to her. Thank you.
to get money from the school readiness program. All the classrooms, the preschool classrooms, need to be NIAC accredited. And NIAC establishes the footage area for every single student in the classroom, and as well as the playground. So and it has a lot of other standards for the preschool classrooms.
Yes.
And it's not only for preschool, it's also for infants and toddlers.
Thank you.
If I may just add, is the NIAS, still NIAS accredited high school? The NIAC is the NIAS for pre-K.
I'm just saying people should not use acronyms because the general public doesn't know what they mean. That's all.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yes.
And I just use NIAS.
Right, yes.
so the option 2 adds, did you say about 16,000 square feet? And it seems to me that we're not really going to get where we need to go without doing that.
That's correct. Yes, and that was pretty much the point of the exercise, to say, okay, you've given us your final ed specs, and, you know, if we're going to look at the building as it stands today, you know, what could you do with that? And even with, you know, minimal additions, you're not close. You're much closer here, and I think we can work with this to develop a design which is going to meet the requirements of the board.
Yeah, I think, you know, looking at it from a high level, option 2 has all of the program spaces contained with the ed spec. You know, there may be some, because they're trying to maintain existing walls, that in this first concept to say, can the ed spec, will it fit in the building? And with some small addition, 16,000 square foot addition, the answer to that is yes. You know, the design team's going to need to go back and, you know, look at some of those spaces. In the program document that you're looking at made assumptions on circulation and other square footage. So you're seeing that the high school is quite larger because a lot of our existing corridors are 12 feet wide. There's a lot of circulation that we can't do anything with. So when you look at a program, the program space for the high school, and let's say the design team added 35% for circulation, and I'm just pulling a number out of the air, it may not be exactly 35%, but in actuality, because we have these existing hallways, it's really 38. So there's a little bit more space there where they've seen some efficiencies within the ECC program. Certainly, again, this was a first blush. This was really the test to say, we have an ed spec that's identified all the required program spaces we need for this facility, bringing all 3 functions together. Can it fit in the building? The answer to that is yes, with some minor additions of about 16,000 square feet. We understand that those may vacillate up and down slightly, which, you know, again, we need the ed spec approved and say, yes, design team, let's move forward. Let's start pricing these. Let's start developing this further, meeting with our administrators and really testing these concepts and bringing them forward. But again, from a high-level standpoint, the work that's been done in the ed spec to look at efficiencies of spaces, make sure we have the right number of spaces, that's contained within option 2. And, you know, as far as the classrooms go, again, we asked a lot of questions. You know, if there's a program that's only going to meet 2 or 3 times a day, we can't have a dedicated classroom just for that program. We had to say, what is the best way? We have to be good stewards of the community's money and the state's money. So we've got to make sure that the utilization of all of these classrooms is appropriate. So we don't want rooms sitting idle. So that's where you start talking about, will they be shared at times? Absolutely, because we want to make sure that from a cost standpoint, we're putting money into this building. We want those rooms to be used as much as possible.
Jaime?
So we received this table 2 days ago. So they're no longer valid because none of these numbers, you know, the total square feet, they don't agree with those 1 or 2. So should we forget about these tables here? So when were these tables developed? And when were those plans?
Do not forget about those tables, Dr. Gomez. If
You forget about this?
You should not. If anything, we should update this to reflect those.
because it's a difference, big difference out
And
there.
this spells out everything. This spells out your goals. This spells out what's in the ed spec and what is the ideal space for everywhere.
And what about these two, option 1 and 2?
This is our best representation of how to make that work within the building.
Okay, thank you.
And as we move forward through the next phase, which would be finalizing schematic design into design development, and then eventually into construction documents, that program you see in front of you, we will maintain the original requested square footage. And then as we nail down the design and it's complete and we're putting this out to bid, we'll have it tallied all the way through saying, okay, you asked for 850 square feet for this room. Through our massaging of the plan and our working with the building committee and the school staff, that one space where you requested 850, that's really going to be 830 square feet or whatever that may be. So we'll maintain that all the way through, because we may have made an assumption that a classroom could be 800 square feet, but we're reusing existing walls, and maybe some of those classrooms are really only 750 because that's the existing space we're working with. So to reiterate what Bob said, you can't just forget about what we've given you so far with those square footages. We understand that it's a working document. We're at the beginning of the process of working with those numbers, and we'll follow it all the way through, making sure we've gotten the feedback where we're skimping on a space, making sure we're getting the feedback and getting approval that, okay, you wanted more space, this is all we can give you, but everyone agrees this is the space that we can give you and we can move forward.
So maybe the ideal solution would be a merging of this table and those scenarios, something like that.
Absolutely, we can do that if that's what you want.
Okay, just wanted to know. Thank you.
I have a stupid question.
Oh, well, there's no stupid questions. Go ahead. Then I have a question, and then Mary.
So what are these two spots right here on option 2?
That is on the main level. You have a.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same in both.
It's the same, it's the
in both.
same, but I was just
This is
looking
a
at.
representation of the gymnasium, but there's no floor at this level. It's a 2-story space, so that X just shows
Like the roof.
height
Oh,
of the room, just like over here on this side. If we were to show that the computer lab's on the second floor, in fact, I think we do, don't we? So we have that same X in that area because there's no floor at the upper level. in that space.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question about the option 2, where you you reconfigure the building with with the addition essentially for the Board of Ed. Can you explain to a neophyte like myself how that works with the state and the budget and what we're allowed to get reimbursement for? Can anybody help me with that? Nope, you can't. Okay.
Not touching that one.
Lynn, that's actually a $1 million question, and maybe a $3 million question. Actually, might be more accurate, right, Bob? The building committee worked very hard not to add footprint. The superintendent and her staff worked very hard not to add program and square footage. And the option 2 that we have here reflects what we think will work with the nominally 13 or 14,000 square foot addition. I am very optimistic, although I've often been proven wrong. I do think the state will understand when we sit with them that we would really have to compromise the ed spec and the marriage of the 3 programs in this building. I'm assuming that they will give us fair consideration to the reimbursement, and I'm assuming that they would look at it favorably. If they don't, my opinion is then that's a building committee decision, and it's going to be a building committee task to justify that to the community and the town council and others who would question the cost of that if it's not reimbursable. So this is a point of risk that I personally, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the building committee understands. I know the design team understands it, but we really do think that's the right thing to do. We would have to parse out the Board of Ed program, which we don't think is appropriate. We don't want to, moving some of it upstairs makes a lot of sense for adjacencies. It offered a lot of flexibility. So I would like to put it in perspective. The building is 225,000 square feet. A 16 or 15,000 square foot addition would only be 8%. That's pretty good. And again, based on my professional experience, and I've worked a lot over the years in school renovations, most schools, when they undertake projects like this, particularly when they're trying to maximize their reimbursement, often does include significant additions. So and again, I have to commend the design team and the administration for working hard not to turn this into, let's tear down the gymnasium and put a new classroom wing here and build a new gymnasium there. And in the building committee's interview of some architects, that was right out of the box. One architect basically said, tear the whole thing down and let's start all over. Some architects said, well, let's take the cafeteria and move it down by the gymnasium. And there was lots of, let's move big pieces of real estate or big pieces of building around. And the building committee, with Bob's endorsement, although I think Bob would have liked a brand new building, the building committee worked diligently to set some pretty significant constraints. And I am comfortable saying to you, and I would say this to the public as well, that a 13,000 or 16,000 foot addition makes perfect sense in the context of what we're doing, and more importantly, what we're saving. We're saving the gymnasium, the auditorium, many of the elements of this building that are really
unique and not replicable.
That's correct. And the state of Connecticut would not endorse building. And Scott, you have a lot of experience. You've reminded us many communities go in and have facilities like that are half the size, or don't have pools, or they have gymatoriums. They don't have an auditorium and a gym. So I think, again, and this was not my doing, and there was early work of Tracy and her groups and others that basically said, hey, listen, let's really understand what we have here and work with what we have and maintain the integrity of the good elements of this building. So and again, I'm an old Yankee, and I like not spending my money, but I think that's good money. It makes, to me, again, from a professional perspective, but also as a taxpayer and a building committee chair, I feel like it's really the right thing to do. So I think I really do think there's a fairly decent alignment of where Bob is today and where the ed spec is today.
Thank you for your answer. I really wanted to put that question out there because that's something that we're all going to have to grapple with, and I want to signal to the people that are watching this that there's a lot of thought that goes into this, and the building committee and the people serving on it, thank you for all your work. Two of them are here today. We really, I just want people to understand that this is not being done lightly. This is roll up your sleeves, hard work to get to a plan that will work best for our community, that we can afford, and that the state will reimburse us to the greatest extent possible for. Thanks. Anybody else have questions? Oh, Mary, Murphy was next, I'm sorry, and then Mary.
I just have one. I'm looking at the layout of the Board of Ed. Is the finance office in here somewhere?
Yes, it's in the business office. It says business office.
It's on the list, but I'm looking at the spaces. I see things like pupil services and data technology and family community partnerships. I don't see a finance office there anywhere.
Business office.
Huh?
Business office.
It's labeled
Where
business
is-
office.
Right here.
It's just in front
Data
of
and
you.
technology and pupil services.
That's business offices. That's the town's combined finance office.
Yeah.
It's good
Okay,
size.
but that's, as long as it's there, I was just curious if we managed to squeeze that in along with everything else. So
The working of the ed spec, we did have on the program sheet under
Yeah.
business offices, we had town staff and we had Board of Ed staff, and I think it was Wayne who said, no, take town off of there. We don't want any confusion. We go back to the state.
Well, it's a
So all
combined
under-
office, yes.
Combined,
Right.
correct.
It's an office. Okay, fine. I would like to really thank and congratulate you all and the building committee and the people that worked on the ed spec in basically solving a really difficult puzzle because this is like 3 different programs, a fixed footprint, a lot of different requirements, and then trying to make it all fit together, never easy. So the fact that you've managed to do this while not having to move gyms or cafeterias or auditoriums, you've done remarkable work, really.
This is the first blush. As we said, there's going to be a lot of development.
I know you're not done yet, but the fact that you got this far is...
Don't thank us yet, Dr. Sewell.
Yeah. The fact that you've gotten this, yeah, but you're within sight of being able to get this done. I mean, there'll be tweaks.
Right. But as we said, we were here to show you that the work that Dr. Garcia and everyone did in the ed spec,
yeah,
work in the building, so let us loose so we can show you the next better plan.
It's a really good team effort.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, a comment. I want to register my discomfort with seeing Camino Alto, named, because I'm not even sure that we will continue or with a private for-profit company delivering special ed. I'd prefer to have special ed on the plan, because I feel that we're somehow making a commitment to a future with this company, and I still haven't really heard the assessment of it or, some questions I have.
So noted. Thank you, Mary. Tracy?
I have one question. Right now, the Board of Ed meets in the Media Center, and in both iterations, it's on the second floor. Do we have a conference room that we can have meetings in on the first floor? So if guests were coming into the building to go to a Board of Ed meeting, as these people have done, they don't have to go upstairs?
Yes, in the Board of Ed program, we have 2 conference rooms, one for about 15 people and one for
About
30.
30 people.
Okay.
It's in the ed spec, in this document, I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there was square footage allotted in the spreadsheet, but I didn't see it there. So as long as there's space allotted, we just have to have a place to have a meeting that's big enough. That's all.
It will be nice to have a meeting room. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, so I guess we'll move on to possible action.
Wait, can I say one more
Yes,
thing?
yes, Tracy.
People have asked, and I talked about this last night at the Board of Finance meeting when I went up to talk about the roofs. The reason that central office isn't in the back corner where it is currently, we moved it out into the high school building, is because we envision with hope one day that this building is able to grow in population. And I think that it would be a great problem for this district and this community if we have too many students in the high school and not enough classrooms. And so one of our directives to Bob and his design team was to make sure that the central offices were contiguous to the high school space. So if we had to grow it and at some point in the future move central office somewhere else, and I'm not saying we're planning to move central office somewhere else, but this is our hope, is that if we
25 or
build
30
these
years from
programs with the pathways and stuff like that, students are drawn back to our high school, especially the ones we tuition out. It gives us the space to move them and convert those to classrooms and move students into those spaces, as opposed to, we would have had to find a way to get them through early childhood to get to the current central office space. That question's come up over and over again, and I made it last night for the public too. We're trying to think of this as a space that can be a little bit flexible if we need it to be, and something, as we grow these programs, that we hope are going to attract other communities and stuff like that, that we can move these students into those spaces and move this central office somewhere else. As much as I think it's a good use of space to have it here now, I would love to say we have 800 or 1,000 students, and sorry, central office, we've got to find somewhere else to tuck you, so.
Well, that's a really important point, Tracy, and I appreciated you making it last night and reiterating it again tonight.
She's going to send us to the parking lot, remember?
You're going to have a tent.
I hope we have that problem.
A tent in the parking lot. No,
Send us to the parking lot.
we wouldn't do that.
It'll be a good problem.
So,
Tent.
if there aren't any more questions, I'd like to move to possible action and would entertain a motion from someone regarding the ed specs.
I move that the Board of Education approve the educational specifications for the Early Childhood Center, the Windham High School, and the Board of Education offices in the Windham High School building.
Do I get a second on that?
I will second it.
Seconded by Tracy. Any discussion?
I need a, what is it exactly what we are voting on? You know, I need to clarify, are we voting on option 1, option 2? What is it that we're voting on?
No,
Voting on the ed
no,
specs.
The ed specs,
The written document.
the written document.
Actually,
one.
there's
one here.
This-
the documents
sent
for
out-
3 different
That one, that
programs.
one.
It'll fit in the building somehow.
Right, and that manifests itself in this
This
chart.
is- Okay.
So any further discussion, questions? Yes, Tracy?
I would like to ask, after this is approved and we move forward with it, which I'm hoping is tonight, because you know I've been beating this drum for a little while now, a long while. Can we get this as a board, and I hate to waste paper, but the final copy bound with everything in it? Because at least Mary and I are gonna need to use this in meetings and stuff like that, and the building committee's gonna need probably a few copies.
We get you some.
If we can get this, like, the paper clip, every time I take this clip off, the paper's
we
going
do that.
everywhere.
We do it for you.
And I make
Can I add
notes and
something
stuff
to
like
it?
that.
And if we're gonna do that, can we have page number on the table of contents?
Now that you guys approve it, we'll get all of that done, but we didn't want to do all of that until you guys approve it. Now that you approve it,
Okay.
we get it done.
I have to say, though, that the people that worked on this, especially Margaret, I know she typed it all up and did revisions and, you know, kind of set it up so that way it looks cohesive. And Wayne and Bob and
And
the
Janet.
guys
Janet,
from
and Janet.
Colliers, and yes, Miss Testa, I'm not forgetting you. But everybody, I know that you guys put an astronomical amount of work into this, and I'm very grateful for it.
We put page number, that's not a problem.
Yeah, but I don't think I was asking too much.
No, we got the page numbers.
Page
Yeah.
numbers, but like in all the appendices
Yeah,
and
I know that.
everything,
I
so
mean-
that
All
way
in
it's
one.
one comprehensive place
Yeah,
to
we'll
go
have
for
one that,
everything.
Yeah.
don't expect it don't expect it tomorrow, though.
No, 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 no. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Yay, we got it done.
Finally.
Years, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for everybody who came, all the other consultants. We appreciate everything. And so now we're on to the next action item. I know we're all happy, but we have another piece of business. At long last, we received the money from the state that we were expecting for the STEP program, and this board had basically resisted, approving the lease until we knew we had the money to pay for it. And so I would entertain a motion to approve the lease agreement with our piece of the pie ending on June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Did we get the money?
Yes.
Yes, we have the
That's
money.
the whole point, is that we
Yes,
we
we have-
waited
that's why
until
we
we
have
got
the
the
lease. We
money.
got the money.
That's why we're
I'm
doing,
just confirming,
yes.
making sure that we do
They're
have
outta
the.
here.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the floor? Motion is passed. There's no abstentions, no votes. And is there anybody who would like to speak during public comment right now? Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Quiet.
Motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 9:30.